And from there, that's when, a very dark period of my time. As we were doing life, my stepmother in the house, there were also relatives of hers who were coming. Her sister came. She was coming often. And it was the first time I experienced molestation.
Καλώς ορίσατε σε άλλο ένα επεισόδιο της εκπομπής Κατά Ιωάννη 316. Κάθε φορά φιλοξενούμε στην εκπομπή ένα διαφορετικό πρόσωπο που μοιράζεται μαζί μας πώς γνώρισε με πιο προσωπικό τρόπο τον Κύριο. Και σήμερα έχουμε μαζί μας την Εστήρ. Esther, welcome.
Thank you very much.
We would like to hear from you your life story. We would like to get to know you a little bit so that we can understand how God came into your life in this personal way that we're discussing. So please feel free to share some things about your life.
Yeah, I was born in Zimbabwe and I grew up there. I was not born in a Christian family, and I will tell a little bit about my childhood days.
Yes.
When I come to the knowledge and an understanding of what people were saying around me, I discovered that I was abandoned by my mom when I was only 3 months old. So I was raised by other people, and it was told to me that my father found me locked up in the house because my father then was working in the mines. When he came back from work, found me locked up in the house all by myself. And from there, that's when, a very dark period of my time began.
How old were you when you found out?
From the age of when you could understand what people were saying around you, like you were just playing with other kids outside as a kid, and people would say, "Oh, this is the one that the mother abandoned. Oh, she's growing. Oh, she resembles this, she resembles that." And even though in the house it was not being said that much, I wasn't hearing anything. And I don't know at what age my father remarried, but the stepmother I thought was my mom.
Yes.
Except that the way I was being treated was different from my stepbrothers and sisters. So at almost at the age of 9, I was playing with my stepsister, and she told me that, "Don't call my mom your mom. She's not your mom. Your mother left you and this." Then from there I started hearing a lot more names that my mother was being called. Then I started understanding that, that's why the way things are in the house. And also I was not from that age where you want to have your dad. He was working in the mines, of course, and he was coming in the villages where we were, because it was only like an hour from the city. I was not allowed to spend time with my father.
Your stepmom?
I was not allowed. Otherwise I would be given errands, things to do. And it was only like, hello, goodbye. When he leaves, he comes Friday night, he leaves Sunday evening. So, and also I was wondering why I was longing to sit on my father's lap. I was longing to just have that time. But it was just like I always told what to do. And so, it was very difficult. It was hard. It was hard for me and very confusing. A lot of beatings, a name calling, which was always referring to my mom. That's when it started to sink in that you've been denied love.
Yes.
Or even to be heard. Nobody cared how you feel or how you are.
Yes.
I was longing for that. Oh, a touch. As a child, I believe that it all starts from home. The security you feel and the confidence you can glean from the house and to take it outside in the world, direction, the meaning of life, purpose. You have no direction. You're just like you're pushed around. So when my stepmother, as we were doing life, my stepmother in the house, there were also relatives of hers who were coming. Her sister came. She was coming often. And it was the first time I experienced molestation. But it was a woman that really abused me. But then I had no one to tell.
Yeah.
No one to report to. You can't go to your stepmother because now it's very clear she's not my mom.
Yeah.
These are your sisters. Whom are you gonna tell? There's a father you don't see. My brothers, because I was the only girl and the youngest, so I was the one who was home. My brothers were just scattered with relatives here and there. I didn't even know where they were.
Your natural brothers?
Yeah, my natural brothers from the same mom. But for me, the youngest, I was home. I was in the house. So, yeah, before I knew what that act was or into words, to put it into words, that was happening to me. It was like I was terrified each time she comes to the house.
The sister, you mean?
Yeah, each time she comes, I was terrified. I didn't know what to do, where to hide, where to go. And that was this was, I think, going on until the age of 12.
When did it start?
I believe from maybe 6, 7. So from there, it was just like you are like a football, the way you are just kicked around all the time. And then when I was 13, my daddy died. So he was shot. At that time, it was, during the war between the guerrilla warfare and the British colony that had, conquered the nation. And my father was caught in a crossfire and he was killed. So, yeah, after that, my stepmom left with her kids. That's when my brother, one of my brothers, took me in.
He was much older than you?
Yeah, he was older than me. In the city, he took me in the city, but then still I was wanting to go to school. I wanted somebody to pay my school fees because in my country you pay everything from grade 1.
So you were not going to school up to that point?
I was, but then because of wars, also the schools got closed. Then I had gone only until the 7th grade, which I was to go to the high school. The time for high school, you needed to pay even more money. No one was paying my school. And then when my brother took me in, he was like, I don't have enough money for me to be able to pay for you. Then the one that I follow after, he was in the capital city. He said, okay, would you like to come? At least we can find you something, a job to do. Then you can go to evening classes.
That was an alternative.
Yeah. So that's how I started my high school, where I would work during the day and I go for evening classes. Of course, evening classes are less hours. It's not really you're not really following the whole full. It's cut short because you
all
just
the education.
Yeah. So that's what I did to be able to read and write and
finish high school.
Yes.
Yes.
But that abandonment trauma had already taken roots in my life, that I didn't feel safe with people. I had trusting issues. And also it was very easy to be taken advantage of. Because how do you define love? What is love?
Yes. It's not clear.
It's not clear. It's not clear in my mind, and with all the things that I had gone through, until now I still have the marks of beatings that I was taking place in the house, and or the hunger, I almost went, it's like when you see food you don't even want to eat, like you've been so hungry for so many days that you don't want to eat again. You don't feel like it can go, you can swallow anything.
So you were deprived of food as well?
Yeah, I was deprived of food, also had labor where you go to the fields to work before you go to school.
Oh, so you had that
Yeah, I had all
obligation
that,
as
yes.
well.
Or sometimes you come home and then you realize, oh, so there is bread in this place, this sugar. Some people had tea, yet you don't eat anything before you go to school. So it was like you are paying for something constantly, like you are being punished for something you don't even know
Why?
why. So that was very traumatic for me.
How did your life advance after you went with your brother and you finished high school?
After I went with my brother, I reached until the age of, I was 19. Again, when I say that I don't blame it on my parents or the way I was brought up. I think that we were born in this world where it's full of sin, and if it's not God in your life who reigns in your life, something else does. And also from that traumatic experience, you also develop your own personality.
Yes.
And I was taken advantage of as well. When I was 19, I found myself pregnant. So I had a child to raise from the age of 19.
Very
So,
young age.
yeah, very young. So, yeah, things just get more and more difficult, even from how it was, and then this. And when I was pregnant, I don't know if you heard about Reinhard Bonnke.
Reinhard Bonnke, yes.
He was an evangelist that was reaching African countries. So in 1984, when I was pregnant, I heard that he was in town, and there was some news, on the TV that was, there's this evangelist, he's
Advertisement.
healing people. I was like, when I went to the football, and it was like a sports stadium. I went by myself. It was out of curiosity. I don't know, desperation. I don't even know what was going on. But I found myself in the sports stadium when he was preaching. And I was sitting up in a place that was really up. And but then when he was talking about the Father's love, I couldn't stop crying. I was sobbing, talking about how God has loved us and sent Christ Jesus into our lives, to give us another chance. And, he loves you just the way you are. You just have to come just the way you are. And I was like, there's a God like that who just loved me after all the mistakes I've done in my life, after everything. And not only that, I had become a very, very angry person, a very unforgiving, resentment towards those
Who abused you?
who abused me, my real parents, mother who was not there, and my stepmom, everyone around. I was just so angry.
Yeah.
And was talking about the Father's love. I was like, so by the time before he called people out for an altar call to say, if you would like to accept this Jesus, come in front. I found myself running. And I came so close that from where I was, because his in the platform was that high, I could touch his feet from where I was. But I was now wailing. People around me, by the time I opened my eyes, they were looking at me like, oh, what's
She's
going
crying too
on? Yeah,
much.
I was wailing. I was like, then I'm here. If you can give me that, I'm desperate for it. Because I've
Yes.
never known the love, the father figure, the mother, that,
What you get to know when you're in a
yeah,
family, in a loving environment.
exactly. And it is that gives you such security, and you feel, it gives you connection, with your mom, and then that wasn't there. And I was like, I'm desperate for this, whatever that was. I want to know more. I want to go for this. And my life didn't change immediately, but it's like, when God touches you, he holds,
He gets a hold of you.
yeah, it's like he doesn't let you go.
Yes.
But I went, because life that I have known and the things that I still have to deal with, those deep hurts, were still attracting me to wrong people, wrong company, wrong friends, wrong. I went on making wrong choices, wrong decisions. Then a time came when there was an opportunity for me to leave my country. My daughter was 5 that time, but since I didn't have any good education to get a good job, there was an opportunity for me to come to Greece on a contract for a year or two. And I said, well,
For what? Excuse me.
for 1 year or 2 years.
For 1 or 2 years.
Yes. And I said, okay, I'm going for this one, because I don't want my daughter to go through what I went through. I want to work for her. I want her to go through with education.
And give her a future.
Yeah, give her a future that I never had. So I came to Greece, and again, the people that had promised me a good salary for those 2 years, a good contract, but they were to put the money in my account. I realized after a few months that there was no money in my account.
Oh, you were just working.
Yeah, I was just like, as if you have been trafficked into labor for no.
For no.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is
nothing.
going on? We agreed this. They started again threatening me with like, oh, we'll call police. We'll say this. We'll say this. We'll just manufacture some lies for you. You'll be deported.
Yeah.
Then I just stay calm. I didn't want things to happen that way. So when while Lisa was there, God has a way of coming through, whether you are seeking for him or you are not. But there was that anguish in me that, like, I was regretting coming over. I was regretting leaving my country. And then I was like, what is going on with my life? As if I have not suffered enough. What is this? I had this dream that at least probably in 2 years I could be able to make this much and be able to take care of my child. And then a landlord of the people I was living with then, they were renting an apartment, but in the same place there was the owner of the building, the entire building. So she used just to come by and say hello when they are going to work and stuff like that. And are you okay? So because I had this trusting issue, I didn't want to open up. For a long time she tried, how are you doing?
To
I just
communicate.
wanted to say
Yeah.
hi, And I was like, no opening up. Then one day, I could see that this woman was sincere. And she said, are you okay? I just started crying. And then she understood there was something there. She started, like, you can trust me. I do watch you. You seem like you're a very nice person. I know maybe it's very hard for you being alone here without your family. I'm here. I can listen. That's when I started telling her what was going on. He said, don't worry. She will come again each time when they are going to work. She will come by and say, hello, would you like a cup of tea and stuff like that? And then she said, listen, if you want me to help you, I'll help you. I have a friend right now who lives in this such and such a place. I don't want you to leave the kids alone, because one of my job was to take care of the kids. When these people are back, any other time you want, I'll give you money for taxi. I want you, if you want to change, pack your bags, and then I will direct you to my friend. I'll pay for the taxi. They will take you there. But I had no other choice but to trust this woman. And for sure, that's when my life in this country took a different turn.
To the better.
Yeah, I found a family that loved me like one of their own. After these ones. And they were paying me good. And since I had only 90 days, when I came, they didn't pursue, the first people, they didn't pursue to renew my residence permit. These ones took over and started. I've never been illegal from that time. Never from that time. They started just working things out for me, my resident papers, and also trying to bring my daughter here. So God just like from this situation into much better, and I was so happy. And then my life just changed. Then where was God? In my heart, I wasn't going to any church, but I could feel that there was this void again. That I was not happy. I was reunited with my daughter. Like, I remember I had left her when she was 5. On her 9th birthday, I was reunited with her here.
So you were able to bring her here?
Yeah, I was able to bring her here. Even though I left her for school, that it would be easier that she continues in my country, but she could come every year. Now I was working with even more purposeful so that I can bring my daughter.
When she came, when she was 9 years old, she came to live with you, or she came to visit you?
No, she came to visit. She stayed 3 months and then went back again. And there was this now communication every weekend. We will call, we will speak. She understood why I was here and why she was there. And we continued that way. She continued with school, and later she wanted to go in a boarding school, of which was more expensive, but I went on to supply where she lived at school. But during the holidays, she would come with me. She would come to Greece. She loved coming. She looked forward to coming. I did the same. And so we were reunited. Our lives went on that way. And that void anyway remained. I was like this. I don't feel that very happy. What is going on? And I started looking like ways, where can I find a church? So I found another place where I was worshiping before in Ambelokipi. But again, it took me years to develop that personal relationship with God. I was just going to church. I didn't know how to seek. I didn't know how do I relate to this God? In which way? Is it going to church that makes me a believer, a good person? Does that change my life? I realized that it wasn't that. I needed much more. Until in, I think it was 2009, I found myself in another situation. I was like, I need you.
So you seeked God?
Yeah, because I had never let go of that resentment I have carried all my life. All those wounds, they were just manifesting in different ways in my life. And then I just realized that I'm so desperate. I need healing. I need something. Before that, 2009, I got married to my husband in 2007. When he heard the story of my life, when we were just narrating how my life was, he was crying. And then after, actually we met in 2003, and all his goal was like, I want to marry you. But I had trusting issues. I was like, I don't think that marriage...
You were holding back.
Yeah, I was holding back. And then in 2007, when finally I said, okay, yes, I saw that the man was sincere. He took me to Mytilene where his parents were. I saw the family, and I saw the man that was sincere. Even though he was not a believer, neither was I, in the sense that I was not having that personal relationship with God. So there was that void. And in 2007, because he knew my history, he said, I don't know what to offer you, but if your mom is alive and she would like to come here, I'm willing to pay for her passport, for her tickets. I want her to come. If she wants to come, she will live with us, so you get an opportunity to know the mom that you never knew. Before this, when I was still at home, at the age of 15, that's when the first time I set my eyes on my mom. That's the first time we met.
So you met your mom before that point?
Yeah,
Yes.
at the age of 15.
Yeah.
I didn't know how she looked like. I had no idea, because she was living in another city. And for the first time when I met my mom, she had come. My brother actually had called it, say, would you come? We want to see you. And also the little one, she really wants
to get to know you,
to know
meet
you.
you. Yeah.
But when I met her, I had no words. I was just sobbing. But my mom was not as affectionate as I expected her to be. It was very cold, and was like, why are you crying? I'm here to see you, but why are you crying?
She could not understand.
She could not understand. I had no idea. And then before I left Zimbabwe, I had seen her a few times, just here and there. But without not living together, no connection whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then my husband was asking me this, when he asked me this, when he told me this about, I would like to bring your mom so that you get to know her, I just cried. I say, well, this is the opportunity. So I called home and she said, yes, I would like to come. And we did everything, paid for a passport, and she came. For my marriage, she came like, when we got married in 2007.
She was there for the ceremony?
She wasn't. Actually, we ended up doing the political marriage, because we were pursuing papers to do a real, and where the church where we went, they wanted me to be baptized, and I didn't want to go that way in this religion, to be baptized, because I was baptized at home.
Yeah, so you didn't want to go through this.
I didn't want to go through this. So my husband said, let it go, leave it. Let's go and get married. So we did this. So when she came, we were newlyweds, and she stayed with us for 1 year. I was getting to know the woman I never knew before, and I was giving an opportunity to know me. But I realized that even the trauma surfaced even more, this abandonment, this resentment, this bitterness. Just, I was just bombarding her with so many questions, like, where were you? You didn't even, your heart didn't ache for me, for us, for all those years. It's just like, oh, your father didn't want me to have anything to do with you. And also my parents didn't want me to take the children. He just said, leave the children there, since the marriage didn't work. They say, how could you do that? And so it was like I met a mom who didn't know how to relate to me.
Yeah. She had her own issues.
Yeah, she had her own issues, and I didn't know how to relate to her. We lived a year together. We had days we were really happy. We had days I think we were both trying to connect, but there wasn't that connection. By the time she left around 2009, that's when even more emptiness in my heart.
Did something happen that brought, filled up this void and emptiness that you're referring to?
When my mom was with us.
No, after she left, you said
After
there was
she
an
left,
emptiness
yeah,
still.
because I had hoped before she came, I said, wow, this is the moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to know my mom. We're going to bond. I had watched others with their mothers. I never related. And I was jealous of people with their parents. And
That had this relationship.
Yes. I remember I used to make up stories when people were talking about their relationship with their moms. And I used to make up stories that were not there because I didn't grow up with my mom. And just wanting to fit in.
Yeah, to share something
share something,
of your own.
Yeah. And after she left, then I was like, oh, we missed it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I will ever see my mom again. And actually, when she left, she was already not feeling so great.
Mm-hmm.
She was
health-wise.
So my husband and I, we spoke with her and told her, look, we'll continue to support you. And even here, we had gone with doctors. They didn't know what was going on. But she was just saying, I'm not feeling well. My feet, I feel these chills. I feel a lot of things. We didn't know what was going on. After she left, she was feeling better then. And we say, we'll continue to support you and continue to see doctors. And I'll be calling. I started feeling, before I started really feeling that I had this war again with God. Like, what is going on? This is the woman who brought me into this world. I didn't connect. And why do I feel so alone? And marriage has its own issues as well. There are those times when it's just hard. And then it was hard in marriage as well, and getting to know a person that you never grew up with. You have to make the world of your own.
There are challenges.
Yeah, there's so many challenges.
But it seems that every time that you were facing a challenge, after the point that you truly seeked God that day, you knew where to turn to receive help.
I can only say, I believe that the grace of God, continued to pull
to draw
me.
you.
Yeah, to draw me, because even when I was not thinking of Him, but then there would be this sadness inside. Then I started crying. Like, I started really calling Him out, especially after my mom left. I'm like, you need to help me. And also, this thing is killing me, that I feel this anger, this bitterness, this, please help me. Started crying out to God, like, you really need to help me. I don't know how to forgive what has happened in my life. Of course, I blame it on my parents. I blame it on this abandonment, because I believe that if mom was home, if mom had taken me with her, maybe I couldn't have faced all these things, this child trauma, this all this abuse, all this. Why did I have to go through all that? And I don't know how to let go of these things. The damage has taken roots, and I don't know how to come out of this depth of this dark place. It's been dark and dark for years. Please help me. And God does hear, even without putting into words. He does see what is in the heart. I was crying out to say, please help me. And it was like wave of love for my mom came from nowhere. And I started without any counseling from nobody, as if the Holy Spirit was starting to minister to me in that moment of just being so desperate for help. Like, okay, you don't know the issues that surrounded your mom's life then. And whatever has gone, whatever has taken place in your life, you don't need to blame it. You don't need to hold anyone responsible any longer. That's the only way you can be free. I started asking God, you need to help me to forgive. You need to help me. Help me. I can't do it on my own. And I was doing that. God is so gracious and so compassionate. He's such a father. And I started remembering when I ran in that stadium, wanting that embrace, that touch, that he did that to me in that moment, even though I had gone on with life still wandering around, that I can still turn to him. He does hear me. And from that moment, I started feeling like something, a release. Not only that, I saw, it was like a vision, like Christ on the cross, but I was like in this crowd of people that were cheering and spitting on his face and having a good time seeing Christ being crucified. And from that moment, something sank in my heart that I needed more forgiveness than these people that I'm holding responsible for my own pain.
So you saw yourself part of the crowd that were against Jesus on the cross. So that triggered the thought of forgiveness for others.
That triggered everything. That actually, as if in one moment, a different level of understanding just swept through my heart, my mind. Like, what are you doing all these years? Your mom. I started seeing the opportunity I missed. Maybe if I was a little bit more loving and understanding, even when she was with me, maybe she could have stayed. Well, she was the way she was. But maybe that tenderness and loving from my side, maybe could have, I started thinking about all those things. And then I started loving my mom. I used to call her and tell her, I love you, telling her about Jesus. And about a year later, we discovered that she had cancer. And we did all we could do. I was praying for her. I was fasting. I was loving something so beautiful. I could tell that there's something so beautiful, beautiful thoughts towards my mom, love towards my mom, a great appreciation that this is the woman that carried me in a womb for 9 months. It doesn't matter. And also I started forgiving even my stepmom, that okay, she was the mother that who was near when I was sick. She was the woman I called mom. She was the one who was present. Everything started changing.
You let go of the bitterness.
Yeah, everything started changing within me. I started weight has been lifted from my shoulders, and started feeling like more free, more understanding even myself.
As you were letting go of the bitterness.
As I was letting go. It's so true what they say, that many times when you are holding a grudge against someone, it's like you are taking the poison that you meant for that person.
You're taking it yourself.
Yeah, you are taking it yourself. And also it like opens doors to other bondages of some kind, spiritual. You don't understand things. What is going on with you? What is your thought process? Everything is just like wrapped up together. You don't even understand who you are.
Yeah.
And which is such a it's a tragedy.
Yeah.
Not to understand yourself, not to be understood by people around you, because you carry that trauma into the marriage as well. You bring all that, and you want all the people, and also you are like, you live in fear of being abandoned. Okay, there is misunderstanding between a husband and wife. You feel like, okay, maybe he wants to abandon me too.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants to leave me too, because this has been the order of your life, or, being abandoned, being rejected, being pushed around. So you bring so much garbage. But when I started crying out to God, He is, He's always there with open arms. I feel like my life, I was starting a new life again, with purpose. I started seeing, you understand the light if you have been, or you appreciate the light if you have been in a dungeon in the dark. When you come out and the light around you, I started just embracing that. I want to know more. I want a different life. I want to be happy. Finally, I want to let go. And as I was feeling like God is just breaking those chains of the past, of unforgiveness, of resentment, and I started being myself, discovering myself, what I wanted, what makes me happy, and I don't have to depend on anybody to make me happy.
Yeah.
I hear there's a source, there's a river where I can go and drink. I love, Isaiah 55 that says, "Come, all you who are thirsty, come to the waters." I say, come and eat and drink without money. And I'm like, so I can come. I don't need to present anything. I just need to come just as I am. Just give everything, put everything at the feet of Jesus. Healing is here. Another chance right here. He will give me another chance. He is a God who gives grace upon grace. He gives us a brand new start. He heals. And I think that of the things that there were suicidal thoughts, there were days I wanted to end it all. Like, take it. I don't want to continue living. But there was new hope rising. I was looking forward for life. I wanted to carry on living. I wanted to share my faith with others. I want others to know what has happened to me, where I have been and where I am now, because I've seen the light. I always say that I appreciate forgiveness or the grace of God because I needed it desperately and I got it. So I appreciate that much, because if it was based on works for God to accept us, I didn't have any. If it was based on certain qualifications, I didn't have any. There was nothing I could present to Him but just coming as I was. And I found such massive healing. It's like a well that never ran dry. It's just there all the time, lavishing His love on me, forgiving me of all the mistakes I've done, embracing me and walking with me, teaching me the ways of life.
So after you found this new personal way of communicating with God and this personal relationship with Jesus, do you feel that there has been restoration in all the broken parts in your life?
Wow. Yeah, more than restoration. Much more than that. I feel like He has mended every broken piece. He has made me whole again, because I was crushed. What I shared is it's just summarized. If I could trace my life, my whole life back, because sometimes I find myself, there are days I just want to sit with Jesus and just tell him how much I appreciate without asking anything. And then I would just, my life opens up like a book, page by page, from the very beginning. And I don't stay in that place with dry eyes. It can go for hours. But because there are certain things that even come up that I'd forgotten, and I would say, he was there. He carried me there. He literally carried me. He held on to me when I was running elsewhere, when I was looking elsewhere for alternatives, when I was running from him. It's like he held me and I said, child, I'm here. That's how I feel my life has been, like God just holding me. Waiting for that moment when he would just reveal himself to me the way he is now, a father, the love of my soul, my healer, my best friend. I feel that he hears me before I even speak a word, that he knows exactly what I need before I say it. That I'm loved, I'm held. That's how I feel, like all the longing I had as a child, like I needed someone to hold me and tell me, put me on their lap and tell me that I love you. I always say that the things that I've missed in life was a mother and a father. I don't know how. I always imagine, like, how could I relate to my mom and dad if they were alive today? How much love I could pour on them now that I understand now that I have this father that has always been there. You know, there's a scripture in Psalm 27 that a mother and a father it's possible they can abandon you. And it does happen all over the world today. But he said, but I will receive you. That's like my life verse that, okay, that has happened, part of my life. But there is this one who made me, who created me, whose eyes has always been on me, even when I didn't know it, whose ears has always been attentive, who has wiped tears so many nights when I cried by myself, when I thought I was alone, yet I was literally being held. And he's still holding me. And if I'm sharing my testimony today, I just know that there are certain people out in the streets, out somewhere in the bars, in the brothels, or in prison, because of something that has happened to your childhood, because mom and dad were not there to secure you or to direct you or to teach you. I want those people just to know that He is the one who made us. We didn't come here on earth it's not a coincidence that we are here. We were made by purpose and for a purpose. And God doesn't waste anything. Sometimes He uses our pain to prepare us for how He wants to use us in the future. I can't see a woman that is hurting and not want to hear their story, or not want to be there, or just to listen. If there is any way I can help or share my own story and say, there is something more, much more greater and much more beautiful than the things you have gone through.
And your work is helping women that have been abused or trafficked get out of this environment of abuse and find a new life.
Yes.
And you help them receive healing with help, and also learn a livelihood skill and get the ability to be self-sustained and move on in life. So God has used your trauma after delivering you, as I understand, giving you freedom out of this. He has made something good come out of it as you now stand to help others that have been in a situation similar to yours.
Exactly. I believe that through that He has given me ears to hear and also compassion. Because I believe that there's no one thinking of what I went through. There's no one who choose to be in a place of or who choose to be like in the streets or in all those places. There's no one who ever choose that. But it's things that has happened. But from there, it just like opens up for other things to creep in. Because I think when you are angry or sad, it's like you are paying attention to something else other than the true thing. I mean, the reality, the truth, the source of life. You are paying attention to the completely wrong things, and those things can feed into your life into a very nasty personality, what you don't even ever dream to be. But when you bring yourself in a place where you say, God, yes, these things have happened. I've also contributed through my own mistakes and choices. Please help me. Please heal me. Please deliver me. He does. And they are certain, they don't just overnight though, even though after the very, my first experience of feeling that peace, it's like it's gradual. It's like when you peel an onion, it's layer by layer, layer by layer. It just comes out and goes, comes out. These surfaces, and God deals with it. These surfaces again, as long as you keep on saying, God, take it.
He does.
Yeah, I will prefer what you give me, and I'm giving you this. The exchange for that freedom, the peace and joy, and there's nothing like it.
Thank you. Thank you, Esther, for sharing all your life with us and for sharing all the details.
Thank you for having me.
Ευχαριστούμε και εσάς που ήσασταν μαζί μας. Αυτό που μου άρεσε πάρα πολύ στην ιστορία της Εστίρ ήταν ότι είπε πως ήταν φορές που θυμήθηκε καθώς ήρθε ο Θεός στη ζωή της και καθώς στεκόταν και προσευχόταν, ο Θεός της θύμισε φορές που μέσα σε αυτές τις άσχημες συνθήκες που ζούσε, ο Θεός ήταν εκεί και την κρατούσε. Και παρόλο που εκείνη δεν καταλάβαινε, ο Κύριος ήταν εκεί. Ο Ιησούς Χριστός είναι εκεί και στη δική σου τη ζωή. Και υπάρχει κάτι παραπάνω από το απλά να σε κρατήσει στις δύσκολες στιγμές της ζωής σου, εκεί που δεν καταλαβαίνεις. Υπάρχει μια προσωπική σχέση που ο Κύριος Ιησούς Χριστός θέλει να έχει μαζί σου και που και εσύ μπορείς να έχεις μαζί με Εκείνον. Και ό,τι και αν είναι οι συνθήκες της ζωής σου, όποιες και αν είναι οι δυσκολίες σου, ο Κύριος είναι εκεί και μπορεί να πάρει κάθε τι σπασμένο, να φέρει θεραπεία και να φέρει τη δική του αποκατάσταση. Σε ενθαρρύνω να τον ζητήσεις, να ζητήσεις «Χριστέ μου, σώσε με, έλα στη ζωή μου, φέρε τη δική σου θεραπεία, φέρε τη δική σου αποκατάσταση». Αν θέλετε να μας στείλετε μήνυμα ή κάποιο αίτημα προσευχής, μπορείτε να το κάνετε γράφοντάς μας στο τηλέφωνο ή στο email που βλέπετε στην οθόνη. Αν θέλετε μια δωρεάν Καινή Διαθήκη, θα χαρούμε να σας στείλουμε. Φτάνει να λάβουμε ένα μήνυμα από εσάς που να μας το ζητάτε. Ο Θεός να σας ευλογεί.